All right. What is going on, ladies and gentlemen? I am no one, and I know I did a day 1 video, and I'm sure you guys expected a day 2 video and a day 3 video, but not a whole lot happened in day 2 and day 3, so I decided to do a weekend recap of the first weekend of the Ashes of Creation Alpha 2 reveal. There was a lot that happened, some of it good, some of it bad, some of it really unexpected, so let's just dive right into it. First things first, the bad. As you guys know, for phase 1, this is a testing phase. Scalability, server stability, these sorts of things. I've said it a billion times. I feel like I'm just repeating it. On the first weekend, I expected the servers to work the least effective out of the entire test. I even said on Mine and Ice Gaming's Voice of Vera podcast this last weekend that I kind of expected that there's a good chance that it might not go well all weekend. There will be a lot of disconnects. There'll be people waiting in line. Like basically they need these numbers in order to stress test the servers. And they did. They worked a lot better than I expected. I was actually able to get in on Friday night. Not something I was planning on doing, to be honest. But once I saw everybody else hopping in, I decided to give it a go myself. Saturday night, decided to shut down the servers in order to repatch it and everything. And then on Sunday, Intrepid got a DDoS attack that proceeded to go on for 7 or 8 hours. And instead of continuing, they worked on it the entire time. And eventually they just ended up shutting down the servers because they were still dealing with it by the time the servers were about ready to shut down. So overall, that was most of the bad. That was most of the bad from a structure perspective. Like I said, I expected the disconnects. I expected the lag. I expected all those things. I wasn't expecting somebody or some company to DDoS attack in Alpha 2. I wasn't expecting that at all. And I don't know if Intrepid was either. But regardless, it happened. I'm sure they'll be better prepared in the next couple of weekends. Now, what about the good? I've kind of talked about this before, overall first impressions, but I don't have a ton of hours in the game, and now I have more. And now I have more hours with even more people playing. And so wanted to talk a lot about this and things that I'm seeing, because a lot of people are looking at, should I invest in this? Should I get this? And I wanted to provide my overall opinion on where it's at, and you guys can make your own conclusions from there. But when you hop in, the initial server area, very disjointed right away due to a lot of people logging in, some stuff disappearing and reappearing and all those sorts of things. But I branched out and I started leveling up. I started trying to play catch up to the rest of the people in my guild, going around grinding. And everything that I've been looking forward to for the last couple of years has been met. There is risk and reward. There is challenge. There is XP debt on death. And so if I want to go out solo and I want to go kill mobs because I can get more experience that way, I also can die and I can risk losing a lot of time off of that. And so there is a fine balance between the two. And what I was really enjoying out of it is currently there's really no storyline. They're bringing that online later on in the Alpha 2 test. All that you have to level right now is grinding mobs, which, if I had it my way, that's not the only way I'd want to be able to level. I think a good leveling experience is a combination of a lot of things. Like if you want to participate in PvP, you should get experience for that. If you want to go work on blacksmithing, you should get experience for that. If you want to do the storyline, you should get really good experience for that in grinding. I think interacting in systems should reward you with the experience that you're looking for, and no matter what you choose. I think that's a better way to go about doing things. But I'm just one person. That's just my humble opinion. Regardless, I knew that there was going to be a lot of grinding. I knew there was going to be a lot of catch up, and I knew that these things were going to happen. And I found it to not be boring. Not as boring as I expected it to be, because I've grinded mobs on other games before. I've grinded experience in other games. That risk of the XP debt kept me on my toes a lot more, because if you die grinding in another game, you just respawn up and you keep going. You're heading in a linear direction. Well, as you advance further and further on, you lose a percentage of your XP, and that means it's going to take longer and longer to work it off. At lower levels, it doesn't really mean anything. You just incur that debt and you work it off rather quickly. But as you level up further and further, it becomes more of a deterrence. And that applies to all deaths in PvP and PvE. And overall, it makes it a lot more interesting. It makes the content a lot more interesting. Even though there's not a ton of content out there, like I said, it's only grinding mobs. There's some dungeons and some areas of interest and everything. It makes it a lot more interesting in that regard. The second thing is the politics. I knew that I was going to be into this game for the politics and the intrigue and the drama and these sorts of things, and I knew all that was going to happen. For whatever reason, I didn't expect it to happen during Alpha 2. This is not something I was expecting. I expected there to be a lot of things to happen, but already online, even though they don't have all the systems online, there is a fight for these different grind points. There's certain spots with mobs that just give more experience, and you'll have two different guilds fighting over them. And there's a jockeying for position. You know, either you guys can work together and get the same amount of experience in the area, or you find it benefits you to try and push them out so you get a more experience. And people are making these choices all the time. I've gotten pushed out. You know, I went around, a lot of my friends hopped off, so I was like, oh, I'm gonna go grind solo. And so I'm grinding around a node, and I see one other person, and I was like, hey, you know, I'm gonna go help them, and you know, we'll get experience. Well, they didn't want to split the experience, and so they just let the ads kill me because I was a couple levels below. And I was like, okay, I got the hint. I'll move on about my day. And so that sort of stuff was really interesting. It's really intriguing because those personalities are going to come into play further on down the line, right? Like that person. I'm not going to name names because, you know, they're on. I don't have to name names. I remember who they are. When I see them further on down the road and they need help, I know I'm not going to help them, you know, just as an example. Like if we weren't going to work together on this, why would I work together to help you? And vice versa. If somebody's going to help me out, then I'll help them out, of course. And so it was super interesting to see all that start to play out in real time. During Alpha 2, it's a very bare bones area. There's not as much content. And despite that, players were making their own content. They're creating their own drama. They're creating their own strife. And so I thought that was super cool. Now, overall, I didn't get to experience all the systems because, like I said, I wasn't planning on hopping on Friday. When I hopped on Saturday, they took the servers down. And then when I went to hop on Sunday, it got a DDoS attack. So I only really got to play one day out of the 3. Got to play 2-3 hours on Saturday, and that was basically it. But I had a lot of fun. I kind of expected to not play at all this weekend. I looked in the worst case scenario and I hoped for the best. And, you know, I got somewhere in between. And it was overall a very fun experience. And it's got me really looking forward to next weekend because you would think in theory that this next weekend will probably work a little bit better than this last weekend, or a lot better. We don't know what bug fixes there's going to be, but you would think it would get a little bit better, which means that there's going to be more hours of intrigue, more hours of contesting over spots, more hours of politics, more hours of caravan runs, or, you know, maybe fighting a dragon. Who knows? There's some stuff out there. And as these things improve and improve, they're going to start bringing more content online. And so that's the other exciting part is, okay, I love the structure here. I love what they have released so far. It's very bare bones, but there's enough room for us to make our own fun in the meantime. Whereas like 6 weeks down the line, when they start introducing content, they said on a 6-week cadence, they're going to do this. They're going to bring more things online. And so it'll be really cool. Like, okay, this will hold us over for 6 weeks. What are we getting at that point? Will that be enough to hold us over for the next 6 weeks? Will that be enough to hold us over for the next 6 weeks? And stuff like that. And so overall, I would give the weekend a solid 7.5 or 8. I don't think it would be fair to critique Intrepid for getting DDoS attacked. That's not their fault. Overall, I thought that the weekend went off pretty well. I thought it had worked out pretty well. It worked out better than I was expecting it to. My biggest gripe, I guess, would just be disconnecting in line hold. The line hold disconnect was a real pain in the ass, and then being stuck in the server. All the stuff I expected, but yeah. It doesn't, just because you expect it doesn't mean it wasn't an inconvenience, of course. And so I'm looking forward to next weekend. I'm looking forward to getting to test next weekend, and I'm looking forward to hopefully seeing all of you. So I'm going to end this video here. If you guys have any questions or comments, please provide in the comment section below, and I will do my best to answer it. As always, guys, thank you for watching. Have a nice day.